Alright everybody, welcome to episode 165 of Psycho's Platters, where it's still 45s galore. We're going to go off and take another batch here from my previously undiscovered pile that I found in a plastic Rubbermaid tote. Always sponsored by coffee. Yes, it's Star Wars. Good old Star Wars. I wanted to throw something out really quick before I do begin this video. I've had a decent amount of compliments, truthful amount of compliments from people here in the VC about in regards to, hey, your videos are very informational and very factual. Thank you very much, honestly, for the honest, kind words. Some people have gone off and asked me, how do I do it? Where do I get this stuff from? Where do I get the information from? I'll tell you some of it. How do I explain this? Okay, I do, on an average, about a 15 to 20 minute video most of the time, okay? And the thing is that I'm not going to lie to you, it takes me 2 to 3 hours total to get a 15 to 20 minute video down for the research. It's just how I am. I've been like this since I was a little boy. Now, I don't mean, you know, factual anal retentive, mind you, okay? But I mean, I've always soaked up all the musical knowledge I could. You know, music, you guys are all going to agree with me in the VC, music is a never-ending hobby. It just is. That's what this is. So you know what, when you come across things that are interesting, you want to learn a bunch of stuff about it, okay? Kind of gives it an extra dimension to the music, at least in my opinion. So, some of the answers to the questions I can give you, yes, I do go to Wikipedia a lot, okay? Sometimes that helps. But if Wiki doesn't have what I want, then I jump to other websites. Like 45cat is an awesome site. 45cat.com is a very awesome site. I have used that many a times for my 45s. Black Cat Rockabilly Europe is another one. For the rockabilly stuff anyway, okay? Other than that, it depends. It really does depend. Sometimes, like, okay, when I Google stuff, and if it happens to do with a label, I'll just go to the label discography so at least I can get a month and a year. You know what I'm saying? So I try the best I can with what I got. And I'll admit to you, if I don't know something or I can't find something in the research either. That's just how it is. I know. Enough yapping, more showing, right? So, okay, let's see here. Another little stack here. We start off with... Oops, sorry about that. Dang it. From August of 1956, the 5 Keys on Capitol. Out of sight, out of mind. Like I said, this came out in August of 56. Originally, the 5 Keys were called the Sentimental Four. And they were out of Newport News, Virginia. In the late 40s, a pair of brothers, West and Ingram. By mid-49, they changed their name to the 5 Keys, signed to Aladdin Records in 51. Rudy West left in 52, but he came back in 55 after his replacement died suddenly of a heart attack. So Rudy comes back into the band. 3 original members were still in the lineup. They went to Capitol sometime in early 56. This particular one here, number 23 on the Billboard 100, number 12 on the Billboard Rhythm and Blues chart. 5 Keys kept going until 1962, but 2 singles came out after the fact on that. 1 in 67 and 1 in 73. So, you know, I know Doug Fields out there is a big 5 Keys fan. He happens to have an awesome find that maybe someday he'll show you and tell in one of his videos. He picked up the very rare 5 Keys. I think it's called Out on the Town or something like that. It's on Score Records from 57. He showed me. It blew my mind. So awesome for 5 Keys from 1956. This next one on Duke, Bobby Blue Bland with Shoes. Now I listened to the flip on both of these, okay, because anything on Duke is going to be worth you perking up your ears to listen to. There are certain labels you just try to catch. Now, believe it or not, though, with this one here, when I was looking up for this, several different sites, American and UK, term this as Northern Soul. I like Shoes. I could see why Shoes would have been great in the clubs. He was born in Barrettville, Tennessee, and he moved to Memphis in '47. By '48, though, how about this? Oh, I wish there was recordings of this, right? He associated with B.B. King, Roscoe Gordon, Junior Parker, and Johnny Ace. And all 5 of them called themselves the Beale Streeters. Could you imagine if there was some tapes on this? It would be like gold. It would be R&B gold. So, from 50 to 52, he recorded for Modern and Sun. No, he wasn't on the Sun label, but Sam Phillips is the one that worked with him. He farmed out the material he recorded at Sun to Chess, alright? Lots of stuff here. Went into the Army in 52 to 54, during which he performed in a band with, of all people, Eddie Fisher. Pop singer Eddie Fisher, that's right. Carrie Fisher's dad, and Debbie Reynolds' husband, I think, at the time. In 54, he came back out of the Army. He joined Johnny Ace's band and went back to Duke, run by new label manager, Don Roby. Roby gives him a contract he couldn't read. So in other words, Roby gives Bobby a contract he couldn't read. And he helps him sign it and then screws him in royalties because he gives him half a cent a record instead of the typical industry standard of 2 cents a record. Alright? So he started making hits in 57 to 64 pretty much. 23 top 10 Billboard R&B hits. Duke gets sold to ABC Records in 71. His last album, 2003, and he passed away in 2013. But Shoes, another Northern Soul staple, it appears, I snagged. Really cool tune. If you've never heard it, go listen to it on YouTube, or if you got it in your collection, spin it. This one here. Doug Fields and I were talking about this. He said, is this Shorty Long that Shorty Long? The answer to that question, Doug, is no. This is a different Shorty Long. And boy, what a story on this guy here. The single here from 1953, I Got 9 Little Kisses, and the flip, Who Said I Said That? Now, I'm going to tell you, I went and listened to both sides of this sucker, okay? Valley was a label that wasn't around very long. They, if I remember correctly, did like about a dozen, maybe 15 singles tops, maybe at the most. Could be even less than that. The other one that was out was the original Crying in the Chapel, which was done by, the dude's last name was Glenn. Okay, I can tell you that much. But both of these sound like Bill Haley-ish. Bill Haley outtakes, you know, like stuff from Bill Haley's Essex Records period. Both of this stuff, totally awesome. As goofy as this sounds, this 45 was actually very popular in the UK in the early 80s at some of the rockabilly clubs that they they'd play this music. So this was kind of a big hit over there for a little bit. Shorty Long here was from Reading, Pennsylvania, and him and his band, he had a band, Santa Fe Rangers was the name of that. At age 14, his musically inclined parents, sent him to study music at the College of Rome. He graduates cum laude as a violinist. He also played accordion and sang tenor, lead, and solo in his band. He was on King in 51, and then Valley in 53, 54. Jumped to RCA at least 55, 56, and there's where it gets kind of cool but weird. In the obituary that came out in his death in 91, it was said that Shorty backed Elvis on Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel, playing piano and other instruments. Well, I looked into that a little bit more, and supposedly the story goes that, at least for Hound Dog, Gordon Stokes from the Jordanaires is the one that says that he played piano on it. So, and then the other thing is that Shorty went off and mentioned in an interview that there was this one big long marathon session with Elvis. Okay, actually, you know, what I mean by that is that I'm led to believe he was there for he was in New York for a few days, but there was this one big long marathon session. And not only was Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel done, but so was Blue Suede Shoes and Shake, Rattle, and Roll. And supposedly he goes off and plays piano on those tracks too. How much of it's true, I don't really know. But, you know, I know some of my Elvis PC people out there can maybe help me out a little bit on this. So Jim Valley supposedly played piano on those couple Elvis cuts. And then the other thing that kind of makes things interesting, in 1967, after Jim Valley was pretty much done with this bit, he opened, I hope I get this right, Ontalanoe Park in Pennsylvania, and he has top name country performers, and then they played there till he sold the park in 1982. So I like these. You know, if you haven't heard I Got Nine Little Kisses or Who Said I Said That, go listen on YouTube for that. And by the way, Who Said I Said That was written by Bordeaux Bryant. Yes, that Bordeaux Bryant, the one who ended up writing stuff for the Everly Brothers. So go check that out too, alright? Next. I know maybe this is a half common record. This is maybe about the third or fourth copy that I've come across, but very decent. I've got a picture sleeve of Bless You from Tony Orlando. This is the first time he started around. This came out in '61, number 15 on the Billboard chart, number 17 on Cashbox, top 5 hit in the UK. He started out, though, with the Five Gents, which was a doo-wop group he formed. He did this song, this single, he did Halfway to Paradise. By '63, he was gone for a while. His last chart solo hit was in 1979, and I didn't know this till I dug up research. At least as of 2013, he still lives in Branson, Missouri. I ought to go take a look and see if I can find him too, because I'd love to interview Tony Orlando. There'd be such a history on that now. Next, October 1960, the Royal Tones on gold disc with Flamingo Express, number 82 on the Billboard 100. That was in early '61 that charted for that. Royal Tones, 1958 to '64 was pretty much their prime period. They're from Dearborn, Michigan. They formed in '57, originally called the Paragons. But they changed their name to the Royal Tones because the owner of Jubilee Records, who was their original label they started with, already said, hey, guess what? There's already a Paragons out there. So that's how they ended up changing the name to the Royal Tones. But by 1959, they were gone from Jubilee due to a combined lawsuit and the rising payola scandal, which affected Jubilee and other labels. On second and last single, on Jubilee, also had Bo Savage, who he was the drummer who would go to Johnny and the Hurricanes right in late '59, and then they signed to Gold Disc in '60. In '62, they end up getting as members Dennis Coffey and Bob Babbitt. If those names sound familiar to you, good for you, out of all honesty. I like Dennis Coffey's work, but basically they were part of the Funk Brothers for Motown later on, alright? Both those guys. And of course, you know, Dennis Coffey with the solo album that I mentioned a few episodes ago. So those two both joined the Royal Tones, okay? More singles come out, 2 more singles. One on Twirl, what a name, right? And then, that was in '63. And then in '64 was the final one on Mala. Note here is this. Twirl was associated with Del Shannon and backed Del, the Royal Tones, backed Del on studio recordings between 62 and 64, like Little Town Flirt, Handyman, and Keep Searching. So, really cool. I like this. I've listened to both sides of this one. Next. On Ember, from February 57, Rudy Greenwich, Juicy Fruit. I have become a believer of this guy. This is very awesome here. Born in Lake Charles, Louisiana, according to Bobby Hebb, yeah, the guy who did Sonny. Sonny, don't you... No, I'm not going to sing. But he says it's a well-known fact around Nashville that Rudy was one of Little Richard's best friends in the mid-50s. Hebb even stated that the line in Tutti Frutti, going Tutti Frutti, oh Rudy, is about Green. He started on Bullet Records in 46, 47, but he didn't make any more records until 52, because he got a chance with Chance, pun intended. He cut 8 songs, 6 ended up being released. In late 53, he jumped to RCA, played some unreleased tracks behind Bobby Prince. In early 55, he made one last Chicago record for Club 51 Records, which is a really tough one to get. In 56, he jumped to Excello, made 2 singles. In 57, he ended up on Ember, and put out 2 singles, but promo efforts and were not that strong. In fact, what the heck was it? I heard that most, for Ember anyway, that most of the promotional efforts ended up going to Lee Allen, who was doing a single, Walking with Mr. Lee. They said they put that push behind that mostly. His last 45 was in 61 on the Poncello label. Green died November 1976 in Florida. Go listen to this on YouTube. I mean, seriously, if I ever find any of the other 45s, I will grab these. Awesome voice. Awesome. The man should have been a bigger. Alright, this one I thought was kind of cool. Even Doug and I were talking about this one. On Chief Records, Tobin Matthews, Ruby Dooby Doo. This is actually a first press, I found out. I know the label was flaking a little bit here. Kind of sad. But the original first pressing is on Chief Records, which then ended up getting a national distribution on RPM Records. Went #1 in the Chicago market in 1960. Chief is based out of Chicago. Number 30 on the Billboard national charts in October of 60. Here's where the story gets kind of weird. This is both parts of this 45 were songs that were done in the movie called Key Witness with Jeffrey Hunter and a few other people. I haven't seen the movie. I think Doug said he did. But so they basically had this studio band, and they cut this. Okay. Well, the funny part about it is that I guess this is, it was a gamble. Nobody expected it to go as well as it did in Chicago. Like I said, it hit #1. Once it hit #1, the president of this label went off and said, uh-oh, I got to come up with a real band. Tobin Matthews is not the person's real name. Tobin Matthews happens to be the first and the middle name of the son of the owner of Chief Records. So they went off and he got a dude from Calumet City, Illinois, Willie Henson, which he was from the Chicago group Willie and the Jeepers. That was the name of the group. And pretty much he was hired to be Tobin Matthews. And he ends up going around to go and do this single. He ends up doing tours with people like Chuck Berry and Tony Orlando at that time. And I guess towards the end, like many years later, there was an interviewer that asked him, hey, do you know who was on this at all? And Willie goes off and says, possibly Phil Upchurch. So we can't verify that on this band here for this cut that Phil Upchurch, who would end up being on many labels, including UA, because I think I showed you guys that a few episodes ago, but Phil Upchurch might have been on this single. So I think that's kind of cool too. I liked both sides of it. Really very cool instrumental on that. Lastly, from December 61 on Tough Records, the Corsairs with Smoky Places. Originally the Corsairs were from LaGrange, North Carolina. They did 745s as the Corsairs, but they first started out as the Gleams. They made their way to the New Jersey, New York area. They were discovered in a Jersey club by Abner Spector, who later would write Sally Go Round the Roses for the Janettes. This group was three brothers with the last name of Uzzle and a cousin named Wooten. And they started on Smash, and then they went to Tough, and but they finished out in '64 as Landy McNeil and the Corsairs. I like Smoky Places. This is the first time I've heard it. Very, very cool stuff, I'll tell you. So that's all of that batch. New subs, Sammy Sambui. I hope I got that right. And Brad Vinyl Guy. A couple of new subs since the last episode. Thank you guys for joining the Psycho's Platters channel. More things to come. I'm still working on things here. I'm still working on. Also, though, I want to actually give a special little shout out real quick to somebody that actually gave one of my episodes a shout out on Facebook. He's got a, well, I'm making it sound, but there is a group called Records and Coffee. If you're on Facebook, go like and subscribe the Records and Coffee page and tell them that the mighty Psycho sent you. Wax Museum with Ronnie Dark and Night Owl Lounge with Mike Adams, Sunday night 6 to 9 p.m. and 9 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Times on those. Go like their Facebook pages, please, both of them. We love them. We love them dearly. They're on, like I said, WVOA, Syracuse, New York. You can listen on Uber stations like I do. And you can even record the shows, too, if you can't listen to it right away. I know some people that do just that. Thrifty Music Collectors, Tim Smith and Company, always. The Vinyl Grotto, Doug Fields is his show. Go like him on Facebook, please, the page there, and subscribe to his YouTube. And let's see. Also, Shindig, the best damn English rock magazine out there, period. Yes, I said that. I meant it. Let's see. Freak Beat with Ken Worth, 107.5 The Spy, out of Tulsa, on Monday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. Central Standard. Mike Bolia remembers Alan Freed. That's also Monday night. If I remember correctly, it's 8 to 11 p.m. on Monday nights. You know what? I know I almost forgot you, Dane and Carl, but I didn't. This is Rock and Roll Radio. That's on from 8 to 11 p.m. on Sunday nights. Also, another kick-ass rock and roll show. I hate to admit it, guys. If I'm lucky, I'll catch about an hour sometimes of your show. I apologize. It's not more than that. Sunday nights get kind of weird in my household. And lastly, the YouTube vinyl community. Well, without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So you know what? Please, guys, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your frenemies about Psycho's Platters. Podcast, hopefully coming in the spring here. Don't forget my email address, www.allonewordpsychosplatters, PSYKOSPLATTERS @gmail.com. Suggestions, whatever, just please send them there, and I will read them. You guys take care. God bless. Rock on, and I'll see you next time.